After all the offseason drama, James Harden has finally got what he wanted. I have the details of the trade up on the screen, and I'm excited to give my take on this. I want to start with the Clippers because they got by far the most talented player in the trade, but also the most polarizing and unpredictable one. Since 2021, Harden has requested a trade from 3 different teams. He's had multiple letdowns in the playoffs. He's been criticized for not having a winning play style, and his priorities are often questioned. With all of that being said, you can't deny James Harden's talent. There's a chance this is a complete disaster, but there's also a possibility Harden turns this team into a legit contender. That may seem like a big risk to some, but not to Steve Ballmer. The Clippers have always been overshadowed by the Lakers, and Ballmer is trying to change that. They're set to open up their own arena next year worth $1.2 billion, so adding another box office player shouldn't come as a surprise. I know Kawhi, PG, and Harden will all be free agents by the end of the season, but Steve Ballmer won't hesitate to pay them. Everyone is talking about the picks they gave up in this trade and how they're throwing away their future, which I understand, but you have to remember who owns this team and what his goals are. Steve Ballmer wants to create a legacy for the Clippers. Obviously, they're risking their future, but if the Clippers could get even just one championship out of this move, Steve Ballmer is going to consider this a success. Winning a title could also help bolster the Clippers' reputation in the league. If stars like Kawhi, Paul George, and Harden all willingly joined this team and won a ring, other stars may see the Clippers as a big market team where they can win championships too. As good as this move may look on paper, it's not a guarantee that this will be a good fit. To start the season, Westbrook has been LA's starting point guard. He's averaged the fewest shots of his career, but he's made winning plays. He's been disruptive on defense, he's constantly attacking the basket, and he's been setting up his teammates very well. He's put his pride to the side, and he's been effective in a reduced role. In contrast, Harden isn't a reliable defensive player, he's extremely ball dominant, and I doubt you're going to see him playing in the dunker spot or moving well without the ball like Westbrook has done to start the year. Harden is still capable of putting up 20 and 10, but it's worth asking if that's what the Clippers need. This team seemed to have an established hierarchy, and as talented as Harden is, he could disrupt that. While I understand those concerns, I see the Clippers improving after this trade. This trio reminds me of the big 3 we saw in Brooklyn a few years ago. You have one of the best playmakers in the league in James Harden, and you're surrounding him with 2 elite perimeter scorers. Just like KD and Kyrie, Kawhi and PG are great at scoring within the flow of the offense. Sure, they're going to have their ISO plays, but they are great in catch and shoot situations, they can come off pin downs, and they can attack closeouts better than most players in the league. Harden will be happier in LA because he'll have more control in the offense. I see this trio being very dynamic on offense, and on top of that, Westbrook will likely go to the bench where he can play the role of a spark plug. They also have Bones Highland and Norman Powell, 2 guys that can provide an added scoring punch off the bench. I know Harden isn't a great defensive player, but surrounding him with good defenders like PG, Kawhi, PJ Tucker, and Zubats will hide his shortcomings on that end. There have always been injury concerns with this team, but if they're healthy come playoff time, they'll be elite on offense and good enough on defense to be a legit contender. I think it's worth mentioning that when Harden was in Brooklyn, he looked great in the playoffs. It's a small sample size, but in round 1 of the 2021 playoffs, Harden had one of the best series of his career. It wasn't until round 2 where he got injured that his production really dropped off. In Houston, Harden was relied upon so much, and in Philadelphia, he didn't entirely feel like himself playing next to Embiid. I'm not expecting Harden to go on a playoff tear this season, but if the on-court fit is similar to that of Brooklyn, maybe he'll have more good playoff moments than bad. Because their stars are aging, I'm going to say they have a 3-year window to win a title. Kawhi is 32, Paul George is 33, and Harden is 34, so they're all on the verge of exiting their prime. They've given up a lot of future assets, but as I said earlier, Steve Ballmer and the Clippers will be ecstatic if this trade results in their first championship. Now on Philadelphia's side of things, this was a good trade for them considering the situation they were in. Obviously they would have liked to receive more for Harden, but since he lowered his trade value so much, the Sixers didn't exactly have much leverage. Still, I like this move because I see it as an addition by subtraction. Maxey is 10 years younger than Harden, and he now has more opportunity to tap into his potential. Maxey has great chemistry with Embiid as well, so they can keep bolstering that with Harden gone. Even if Harden rejoined the team, it still would have been a distraction, and Embiid's had to deal with enough of those in his career. There was the mysterious Markelle Fultz injury situation, they had the Brian Colangelo burner incident, there was constant debate over whether Embiid and Simmons were a good fit, then Ben Simmons requested a trade and distanced himself from the team, and now you just had the same thing happen with James Harden. By getting rid of Harden, there are no more distractions in Philly, and they can hopefully develop some roster consistency for the first time in Embiid's career. They can start doing that by re-signing Tyrese Maxey to a long-term contract. With the way Maxey has played in the early season, he looks like he's going to be a perennial all-star. Maxey will turn just 23 years old on November 4th, so there's reason to believe he still has room to grow. Re-signing Maxey for 5 more years would give Embiid something to feel confident about going forward. On top of that, Philly could acquire another star this season. They could trade 25-year-old DeAnthony Melton, 22-year-old Kenyon Martin Jr., as well as expiring contracts and picks. That 2028 unprotected Clippers pick could be particularly valuable, and they could include it in a package for Zach LaVine or Pascal Siakam. Even if the Sixers don't trade for anyone this year, they're still going to be a really good team. Maxey may make the All-Star team along with Embiid, Tobias Harris has looked great so far, and they have some nice role players as well. As currently constructed, this is at least a top 4 team in the East. By trading Harden and Tucker, they've freed up over $45 million for next summer as well, so Philly has quite a few ways to improve their roster. While the Harden situation was pretty crazy, it may be best for both sides that they parted ways. Even if Harden never got into it with Daryl Morey and their offseason went smoothly, they'd still be considered the 3rd best team in the East. If Harden had signed an extension in Philly, they would have limited their ability to improve over the next few seasons. By moving on from Harden, Philly has reset the board, and like I said, there are a few different ways they can improve this roster. Embiid won't be a free agent until 2026, so Philadelphia still has time to convince him to stay long term. In Harden's case, he's going to a great situation in LA. They're well coached, they're deep, and I like his fit with Kawhi and PG. I still think Denver is the best team in the West, but the Clippers have a real shot. It's going to be a big year for Harden. He's on the last year of his deal, he has a lot of doubters, and this is his last opportunity to earn a big contract. If he can help the Clippers get to the finals or win it all, that would erase all the drama-filled years he had after leaving Houston. He's got a chance to finish his career on a high note, and I'm really excited to see how this all unfolds. Anyways, that's going to be all for today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. With all that being said, I'm out, and I'll see you in the next video.